So I know everybody I see up here knows who I am. So welcome. For those of you who might be brand new to POSSE's Pen, this is something I did years ago, and it was a physical group meeting where we met live and we would support each other in all kinds of organizing and productivity endeavors. And with the pandemic, I was trying to figure out what I could do to kind of keep everybody together and connect with people on a monthly basis. And I said, you know what? I'm going to bring back POSSE's Pen, but I'm going to bring it back via Zoom. So this month is our second POSSE's Pen via Zoom, and our subject is called Vision Boards. And the way we came up with Vision Boards is when we had last month's meeting, people put all kinds of topics that they wanted to see in the chat room, and this ranked right up there with the tickler system. So this month, topic is all about vision boards, and next month is going to be on a tickler system. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and I'm just going to go to a quick little PowerPoint. And all right, so today is on vision boards, and I like to say it's a great productivity tool. So a lot of people will look at a vision board or have heard of vision boards and they think it's kind of woo-woo, but there's an awful lot of science that backs up the fact that it's not woo-woo. There's a lot of scientific evidence that when we create something that we can look at visually, what we are asking of those particular objects in terms of dreams, goals, things we want to achieve, a lot of it will start to come to life, if you will. So we'll talk about that. But I do want to go over just a couple of housekeeping. And it's not progressing. Deb, it's not progressing. Even though I'm...
So you mousing over your screen to activate it?
I am.
Okay, and you lost those buttons, huh?
Yep.
You might have to go to unshare and share it again, and we'll have to just view in the other mode like we were looking at earlier. Yeah, now you practice something and it works one time.
We did. We practiced this. Okay, so now we're going to go to housekeeping. There we go. Okay. All right. So this is going to be our agenda for the next 55 minutes or so. I welcome you all. And as we get started, I want to actually start with a quick story. So in my office, I have this golden frame. And this is called John and Jean Marie's Wish List from the Christmas of 2000. And this is pretty much right after we got married. Of course, I wasn't a professional organizer back then, but my husband and I sat down and we literally wrote a humongous list of things we wanted to accomplish and pray for and create and do and be in our marriage together. And what was really interesting about this list is I wrote it, I printed it out, we framed it, and it's actually, it normally sits on that nail back there to the left of the door. And then we didn't look at it for a really long time. And when we had our 10th wedding anniversary, I took it off the wall and we looked at it and we went, oh my goodness, half of everything on this list had come to be. It was amazing. For example, get a dog was on the list. Basketball court in the backyard was on the list. Part-time home-based business for JM was on the list. Disney vacation package. We had become Disney Vacation Club members. Decorate the house without any worries. That one is not quite there yet. So you get the idea. It went back on the wall, and then a year and a half ago, when it was our 20th wedding anniversary, we took it back down again. And it was almost as if the second half of this list had come true again. Own a 67 Mustang convertible. My son now drives a 67 Mustang. It's not a convertible, but it's still a Mustang, okay? Gazebo by the river. We don't have a gazebo by the river, but we have a flagstone patio by the river. Help our children financially through college. At the moment, it looks like we are going to be able to get our children through college without going into debt. John coaching basketball. My husband had just most wonderful years of his life coaching our son and our daughter through the Mawa basketball program. So you get the idea, all right? So I'm a big believer that when you write things down, you start your reticular activation system flowing, and the universe kind of figures it out. So I wanted to share that with you. And then from a scientific perspective, what's going to happen is Deb is going to put a couple of articles that I picked out that I thought were fantastic in the chat box right now. But there's a productivity expert, and her name is Kathy Sexton, and she wrote this great article called "Does Visualizing Success Actually Fuel Success?" So Deb's going to share that in the chat box right now. And for me, really, the whole purpose of this next hour is to teach you that, yes, visualizing success actually does make success happen. But I'll let you guys read this on your own. But she talks about a second article in here, specifically on Jack Canfield, or a second blog that Deb is going to put in the chat as well. And, you know, I'll just read this real quick, and then I want to read something from one of his books. Thankfully, motivational speaker, corporate trainer, and author Jack Canfield is an expert in this area, as he outlines the steps you can take for visualizing success in his blog, Visualization Techniques to Affirm Your Desired Outcomes, a step-by-step guide. So he talks about not only creating a vision board, but how you can create all kinds of vision things to help you fuel your goals and dreams to success. So one of my favorite books in the whole world is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And I just want to read a little section of a chapter. The title is called Vision Boards and Goal Books Made Their Dreams Come True. So just bear with me for a couple of paragraphs, because this is just very, very encouraging. In May 2000, having just moved into his new home in Southern California a few weeks earlier, I missed it. Bear with me. I got to go back. I missed a whole paragraph. In 1995, John Assaraf created a vision board and put it up on the wall in his home office. Whenever he saw a materialistic thing he wanted or a trip he wanted to take, he'd get a photo of it and glue it to the board. Then he'd see himself already enjoying the object of his desire. In May 2000, having just moved into his new home in Southern California a few weeks earlier, he was sitting in his office at 7:30 a.m. when his 5-year-old son Keenan came in and sat on a couple of boxes that had been in storage for years. Keenan asked his father what was in the boxes. When John told him his vision boards were in the boxes, Keenan replied, "Your vision what?" John opened one of the boxes to show Keenan a vision board. John smiled as he looked at the first board and saw pictures of a Mercedes sports car, a watch, and some other items, all of which he had acquired by then. John opened one of the boxes to show, I read that one. I'm sorry. I need to go to the eye doctor and get a better pair of glasses. All right. But as he pulled out the second board, he began to cry. On that board was a picture of the house he had just bought and was living in. Not a house like it, but the house. A 7,000 square foot house that sits on 6 acres with spectacular views, with a 3,000 square foot guest house and an office complex, a tennis court, and 320 orange trees. That very home was a home he had seen in a picture that he had cut out of Dream Homes magazine 4 years earlier. So I wanted to read that story to you. I'm going to stop sharing now, because I want to introduce a very special person named Karen Santoro. Karen and I have known each other for many, many years, and she is just a great, creative, inspirational type person. And I know she has created an awesome vision board, and I'm going to let her tell you about it. So, Karen, if you could unmute yourself.
I think I'm good. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. So, Thank you, Deb. One of the things that I do during the day is I work for Serpro, and full-time job, full staff. We have not left the office. So I came home today to talk to you because I didn't want to wear a mask and gloves, which is like the new you kind of look. I am also a yoga teacher and an energy worker. And where Jean Marie said something about no woo-woo, I am all about the woo-woo. And I'll give you a couple of things going here. The first thing you need to learn is the law of attraction. So positive attracts positive, and that's what we want to work with. We want to resonate at a high level. So a couple of years ago, and again, I'm going to show you 2 vision boards. What I made was a vision board which has lots of pretty much amazing things. And some of the things that I wanted to do is hard to believe, but I wanted to go to Machu Picchu. And it's been on my vision board. And last September, I was able to get to Peru. Very cool group of women. 500 of us went down to do some healing work down there. And there's a lot of other things about my journey and things that I really wanted to accomplish, and I did. And vision boards do work because, again, with the energy that we're talking about, you focus on it. And what you focus on is when you really want to work on something positive, you focus on it, you start to take actions towards it. It's not just thinking about it, you begin to manifest. And you put a higher elevation of emotion to it because it really brings you joy and happiness. So what you come from a desire eventually becomes your reality. And this is true, especially now, a lot of things that we would have had on our vision board, I am not comfortable putting on anymore, which would be travel. This is a different time and a different way. So the last couple of days, I made a vision board, and Jean Marie showed you a cork board, and that's a great way. So you can put things on and take things off, and you can put pictures and, magazine clippings or anything, postcards, letters that you've received, family. So I went back to the old way, and I ended up cutting words. And I think today a lot of the things that I'm rethinking is about my businesses. Serpro was essential from the beginning, and a lot of our businesses, like my yoga business, became non-essential. And it is going to be really challenging for a lot of us to reach out to our clients. I do a lot of marketing for Serpro. My visits to offices are no longer. A lot of things that I was very comfortable and familiar with doing for 20 years, business is not the same. So I like the idea of thinking that even though some of the things that we've done became non-essential, we have to start thinking that all of us are back to essential. So that was my first word that I placed. And one of the best things as I was going through the magazines, I found this clipping. And when you're looking, certain things just make no sense to you why you cut them out, but you cut them out because somewhere in your heart you connected to it. And don't overanalyze, don't really start to think about it. Just cut it and place it all down in like a little folder. And pictures and whatever your goal is that you're trying to accomplish, whether it's to recreate yourself, reinvent. I think many of us are just going to be reinventing. I believe that for my non-essential yoga work, I was not big on social media. I am not big on that still, but I actually did a couple things on YouTube. Every Tuesday night, I am now doing my yoga classes on Zoom. So some of the things that I have really not been very comfortable with, I've had to literally think outside the box. And that's, part of what all of us are going to be doing. We're returning to a world that we don't really know. It's not easy to become familiar with because it's constantly changing. And, there is also this fear, we have to eclipse our fears, okay? So a lot of the things that I'm putting on here mean something to me. They may not mean anything to you. I believe that we will survive through connections. With Jean Marie, like what we're doing today, we are reconnecting. A lot of the work that we're going to find, I think we'll do in group work. I don't believe that we're going to be individuals anymore. And I also think a lot of it is we are better off healthy. So that was a real important thing for me. But this one right here, I love this one. It came from a magazine. I don't even know why I saved it, but it says, "The old rules are dead. Now go be awesome." And I thought, oh, that says it all for me. You know, like the old rules are dead. We were so attached and they weren't necessarily the best rules or the only rules. Now we really have to figure out how are we going to reconnect, get our financial stability. And I believe that some of the words, again, which means something to me, might mean something to you. You know, we are going to have to be strong. We're going to evolve. You know, carpe diem, seize your day. Do not think that you are what you were is what you are going to be in the future. It is right here, right now. And my suggestion is to meditate. Start to really spend some time. I am the woo-woo girl, remember this. But you need to sit in peace and quiet and try to figure out where you're going. We are constantly being bombarded by social media, the news. If you're allowing all this to happen, your mind is not being settled at all. And it's hard to think when it's almost overstimulated. You know, take your energy, figure out where your businesses came from, how you're going to reinvent yourself, recreate and recover. It is super important that your service was of value before. Your service will be of value again. You know, these are things. And listen to your heart. Don't be mistaken that you intuitively don't know. You put a positive spin, and I believe that all of us will come out better. I know this sounds very hard right now because of our challenges, but there is a reason for this. And I think that the world was not necessarily in its best place. So when you do your board, again, I did it the old-fashioned way where I cut and pasted, and I just went through magazines, and I loved it. I actually had 1 hour of great fun looking for things that really meant something to me. You know, luck, go big, keep going, breathe. You know, we are going to find that we must make lists. You know, I know Jean Marie is the list girl. I love that about her. I'm not necessarily a great list person, but there are things that I want to accomplish. And when I see this board and I saw my other board, it made me draw energy to it. And the energy is the power. Law of attraction. You see it, you want it. You have to really put some emotional attachment to it, and really positive emotional attachment. You know, were you happy with what you're doing? If you're not, then, you know, there's not the emotional attachment. It's never going to be reinvented or recreated. Then start taking action. A lot of people, you know, they want to win the lottery, but they don't buy the lottery ticket. You know, you got to think here, okay? What action are you taking? Are you sitting home and boo-hooing, or are you saying, well, holy crap, I need to take some steps. I need to do something. And you might not know what that something is, but as long as you're taking small steps forward, it can never be wrong. You will be redirected. The universe has a purpose for all of us, more woo-woo, but it is true. And whatever that is, if what you were doing you loved and you were passionate about it, you will continue doing it by recreating it and refiguring it out. If it wasn't such a passion and you weren't really sure why you were still there, I'm pretty sure that this is an opportunity for you to recreate a new you. And the vision board is just a way of supporting yourself by seeing it. You keep it in some place where you do have access to it, whether it's at your home office or close by. I'm going to keep it in my yoga room because it will mean something to me here. Again, our goal is to figure out how you're going to survive this pandemic. It is such a new game, new players, new rules, and they are constantly changing. And again, with safety first, everything that we've known before is going to be very different in this next environment that we've been thrown into. It's not even that we want to be here, but we are, and we are going to have to all figure this out. And my suggestion is to have some fun with it, devote an hour's worth of time, be creative. Don't even question why you're pulling things off, because there's a reason somewhere. Like dance it out. Whenever I feel sad, I'll just put on something, you know, and dance it out. It's just a way to move energy and, you know, trust. Remember, It's all going to work out because what you want, you create, you put your energy to, it will happen. So that's all I have for you. If there's any other questions, hopefully, Jean Marie, that answers what I was supposed to do. I'm pretty sure you guys can see what I've done, and everything would be very individual to you. I put my flowers on because I play in my garden, and I love to cook, and I love yoga. So I think I'm going to open a yoga studio with a little boutique for, food, a little cafe, and have beautiful gardens. So I decided those are the only 3 pictures with Ganesh, who was the remover of obstacles. That's my ultimate goal. And that's what I'm going to draw my energy to. Sorry, Surf Bro. No. Anyway. That's it.
Thank you,
So,
Karen.
okay. I'm going to mute myself so that, you can go back to Jean Marie.
All right. Thank you so much. I love the dance it out. So those of you who know me well know that that is one of the things that has disappeared from my life right now because I can't go to a dance. And I'm not sure how far in the future it will be before we can get a couple hundred people on a wooden floor without masks and gloves and all of that fun stuff. All right, so now it's time for us to create. So Karen gave you a very good idea and showed you her vision board on a poster board, but you can create your vision tool with a poster board. You can do this in a 3-ring binder. You could make this actually on your desktop if you are a very technical person or you like to have it digital, just like a slideshow. I am going to do mine on a cork board. So I had this cork board, and the title of this was Organize, Create, or Revamp Your 2020 Vision Board. And I decided to clear it because my life is, in the last 2 months, completely different than it was 2 months ago. Everything and anything you could change about somebody's life happened to me. And I'm not having a pity party, but professionally, my whole world is upside down. I'm mandated not to work. I'm just doing maybe a few moving clients at the moment, but that's really it. So as a professional organizer specializing in residential organizing, I'm not in people's houses at the moment. And then personally, I ended up with 2 children back at home in a remote learning situation. We had sold our house 2 weeks before the pandemic. So now we're moving, and the house we're moving into is under renovation, and trying to do a renovation in a town where you need, contractors and inspectors. So that's really a bowl full of jelly beans. But anyways, so I'm going to revamp my 2020 vision board with you. So this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to put it over here for the moment. And in order for me to prepare for this POSSE's pen, similar to Karen, except it's not on a board yet, what I did was I started to save all kinds of things that represent who I am and who I want to be. So I'm going to share some of these with you. This is actually a very personal POSSE's pen because I'm going to share a lot of things with you that are personal as well as professional. And my husband is always like, Jean Marie, you tell people just a little bit too much about yourself, but that's who I am, and this is how I learn, and this is how I teach. So the first thing I want to show you would actually be my goals. So I have a goal sheet, and I used to be coached by a company called Buffini and Company. They're really a great company for real estate agents, but I work a lot in real estate, and I loved Brian Buffini's sphere. He has a logo that connects 5 circles, and as an organizer, I always sort things into categories. So what I did was I took his logo and I split the spheres out, and I call it spiritual, family, business, financial, and personal. Now, I think Deb is putting this up in the chat, but what I'm going to do here is share my screen for just a second.
Yes, the link to the PDF they can download is up.
Okay, but here's a close-up view. And so this is what it looks like blank. So I kind of put my mission statement up here in the spheres, and then I leave the blanks below to write my goals for the year, and they change. Now, this is not something I did overnight. This is something that I work on every single year. So I'm just gonna read you my top circle, just so you get an idea. I really think about it almost as a mission statement. So under spiritual, it's to continually connect to God, to lean on His will, guidance, and have faith and trust. And then what I do is I list things on the lines that I want to do this year. You know, I want to meditate daily. I want to keep a gratitude journal, et cetera, et cetera. Under family, it'll say to love each member of my family unconditionally, to be kind, honest, and open to truthful communications. And then I'll list planned quality time, because I'm not really planning vacations anymore. Double recliner. So my husband, I call it the man cave. He lives in the basement and he's always in his recliner. And when we move to our next home, well, there's going to be a basement and he wants to bring his recliner. But I said, you know what? We need to purchase a double recliner so that I can sit next to you, because we never sit together. He's in the basement and I'm upstairs. So double recliner made my 2020, list for goals. The next thing under family is Peter's roller coaster adventure. So my son is graduating virtually from high school, and the only thing he wants as his graduation present is a trip to Sandusky, Ohio, because they have like 25 roller coasters. So this is a dream of his, and I want to make sure, based on the year that we've all had, that no matter what it costs, we get our family's butts to Sandusky, Ohio this summer. And then first apartment for Maura, which is our daughter, which just happened this past weekend. Then I go to my business sphere to improve the quality, peace, and performance of people's lives through the transference of organizing and productivity skills. This is what I do every day in my business. This is why I created my business. And I'm all about helping my clients and colleagues become better organized and productive based on the transference of my skills to them as a certified professional organizer. And that's what I do. That's why I do what I do every day. But this year, my 2020 goals, which have changed a lot, is to get myself a business coach, to get into a phenomenal mastermind, to reinvent POSSE and break 6 figures. I've never broken 6 figures in my 15-year career, and I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know it will happen. So that's my third goal. And then to find a give back vehicle I love. Well, this might be the vehicle. Maybe Resurrecting POSSE's pen is the vehicle for this year, because I do totally enjoy doing this. And then I go on and I have a mission statement for financial and personal. And I think you get the idea. But the idea is, sit down with this if you like. It might take 30 minutes. It might take 3 hours. It might take you 3 years. It's a journey, writing it. But I would say write it, because what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put this, you guessed it, on my vision board. So one of the first things going on my cork board is my list of goals. So that's going to be going on my cork board. Now, I have a copy of that, and I keep that down. I have something called my power hour, which is what I do every morning when I wake up. Used to be my couch, which I just gave to my daughter this weekend, so I no longer have the couch that I would sit on, but I have a yellow chair. So I sit in my yellow chair every morning and I do my power hour, and it has everything from, I do a guided meditation to entries in my gratitude journal. Part of my power hour is I have a copy of my goals, and it sits right there. It's in a sheet protector, and I can't say I look at it every day, because I would be lying to you. But I look at it often enough, and just having it sit there next to my yellow chair, it's like, it happens. It happens. So that's going on my vision board. So this little ditty says, learn to dance, your life will change. So in my 20s, I learned how to dance, and my life changed completely. And, when I die, there's going to be a big dance hall up in heaven. So I have that. And along the same line, and you know, I can't dance right now, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. And then this one says Gotham Swing Club, which is obviously in New York City. So I'm not going in New York City at the moment, but I will tell you, I've always had a fear of New York City. I've always been afraid to go in, and I haven't gone in much. And one of my life goals is to become a phenomenal swing dancer and to easily go in and out of New York City to these swing clubs. So that is going back up there. And I don't know when that will happen. Then as a Christian person, I have Be Still and Know, which my sister gave me. So this is going to go right up there as well. So those of you who know me as an organizer or even personally, I tend to have a lot of energy. I tend to be the organizer, the energy bunny, that little pink bunny that hops up. Energizer bunny, yes, that's it. So my batteries kind of go on and on and on, but it's really when I stop and I'm still that I learn about myself and what I want to do. So that's going on the board. Okay. This is a copy of a document I received from the Real Estate Commission saying that my application for the New Jersey Real Estate Continuing Education course entitled Decluttering and Organizing Your Properties for Profit has been approved for the following CE course category and delivery method. So basically, I now have a CEU credit approved course that I'm allowed to teach to real estate agents in New Jersey. This was a long time coming. This was a goal of mine for a long time. I just have to figure out how to do this. The funny thing is, when it was approved, there was an accident made on the form. It was listed as an online class. It's actually a live class. So right now, I'm working on going through the commission and making sure I can teach this online. And Deborah and I are going to be working on this very, very soon so that I can go online and teach this class to real estate agents. So anyways, this was a big goal of mine. The reason it's going on my 2020 vision board is I think I'm probably the only professional organizer, at least in New Jersey, that has done something like this. But one of my personal goals, just like every real estate agent knows what staging is, I would love it if every real estate agent in America had an organizer in their back pocket, because I think that an organizer is the prerequisite to getting your home ready for market before you can put the cherry on top with staging or anything else. So this is a big professional goal of mine. And speaking of professional goals, this is a picture of some wonderful, wonderful other professional organizers. And I took a label maker and I put two things, one above the picture and one above and one below, of two other professional goals. And the one on top says NAPO's Founder Award. So I've been in business for 15 years, and I'm hoping that maybe when I'm 20 years in business, NAPO will present me at their annual conference with a Founders Award for doing what I was just talking about before, making the professional organizing industry known in the real estate world. And then on the bottom, I have Professor J.M. Herron, because I've always wanted to teach at the college level, and one day I would love to be a professor of organizing and productivity classes. Okay. Hopefully you're not bored, because I'm going to keep going here. All right. This little sign says Mark the Moment. And I have a wonderful friend. She's also an organizer, and she lost her brother to suicide, and his name was Mark. And so this sign, Mark the Moment, tells me to really be present and live every minute of the day now. So that's going up. Okay. So this is the Disney Cruise Magnet. So we are Disney Vacation Club members. I don't know when our next vacation is going to be relative to travel, but this is something that brings a smile to every one of us in my family. So that's going up on the board. This is a postcard that a colleague of mine sent me from the Ridgewood Chamber of Commerce. So it's a picture of a piece of architecture in Ridgewood. and I am moving to Ridgewood. And I never in my life thought that I would be able to own a home and live in Ridgewood, New Jersey. And now on July 6th, I am moving there and I'm starting a whole new life. So this is going up on the board. This is my family, and there's 4 of us. And for the last 2 years, somehow, some way, somebody has always given me the most wonderful, delicious gift card to a fantastic restaurant in the month of August, which is my birthday. So for the last couple years, I've been going and taking a family photograph outside of a restaurant because somebody gifted it to me, and I really appreciate the gifts. So this one was in front of the Upper Saddle River Inn, and it was her appreciation for a lot of work that I had done for her is why she gave me the gift certificate, and I'm just really, really grateful for the gift. So that's that. All right. So here's just, a Bible verse that I love. So that's going up. It reminds me that people will know that I'm a Christian because of the way I treat other people. So that's going up. All right. Don't put this on any kind of social media. But this is my bank account, and this is the amount of money that I would like to earn next year. So that's going up too. So I'm going to look at that. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but somehow I'm going to get there. Okay. This is a picture of me from one of my trips to Colorado. One of the things I was thinking about doing with this is I recently did a presentation called Is Your Home Office Driving You Crazy? And I had the honor of working with an IT specialist and an interior designer. And in one of her home office designs, she actually had used a mural. It was a basement office and there was no windows. And what she had done was she placed this beautiful outside scenery that was very well lit up on one of the walls. And I thought to myself, so I'm thinking about taking this particular picture. When I go into the Ridgewood house, I'm going to share an office with my daughter's bedroom. My daughter's not going to come home a lot, so it's going to be half mom's office and a bed for her when she comes home. So I'm thinking about putting this mural on one of the walls because one of my dreams is to own a country home, a lake home, a mountain home, where I can literally walk out the back door and go hiking. So this is huge for me. But for right now, it's going on my cork board. Okay, so all of that stuff was in this folder. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all those items and I'm going to lay it out on my cork board. But as the rest of the year goes on, I'm going to add things that come into my life that I also want to do. So that's going to be my vision board. So I think what I would like to do now is what I call Ask the Organizer. So I don't know if there's anything in the chat box. Is there anything in the chat box, Deb?
Nope, I put the links up for them, but no questions right now.
Okay.
As people are thinking about questions, I have one.
Okay, and then if anybody has any questions, we'll unmute you and we'll just have a beautiful dialogue here. Go ahead, Deb.
You started off with telling us about the list you made with your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And then the concept of vision boards mostly are personal, and you showed us your goal sheet. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's intersection between your goals and your family and you and your spouse's goals. Do you recommend having 2 vision boards, or having, how do you intersect the two? So, because obviously you can't get to your goals without the support of your family. I mean, some of them, but not all.
That's a great question. I would say that's probably personal choice. Like I know in Karen's example, there was a lot, it was mixed for her. There was a lot of ServPro, but there was also, we are just, like all these cogs in one wheel. And in terms of my business, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't work for your traditional corporate America. So for me, what works is combining the 2 worlds. I suppose what you could do absolutely is if you wanted to have 2 separate boards, 2 separate screensavers, whatever, you could do that. Or you could take, for example, like this cork board is pretty large. You could probably kind of split it down the middle and make one side professional, one side personal. But I think at this point in all of our lives, for most of us, you don't have the traditional 9 to 5 anymore. For those of us who are still working, you know, sometimes I do things at 6 a.m. that are relative to my business, and sometimes I do them at, 9 p.m. But I'm happy to take a 3-mile walk in the woods with my son at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So great question. I think it's pretty individualized, and how you like to see it. I remember, I don't know what year it was when I first learned what a vision board was. I'll show you my first vision board, which has changed a lot. Bear with me 1 second. Okay. So this is a much smaller cork board, and it was mixed with everything. But now I actually call this my hiking vision board, because I actually have a separate vision board just for hiking. And some of these pictures came off of my original, but the license plate here, my dad passed when I was 19, but prior to him passing, he lived in Utah only for about 2 years. And I absolutely fell in love with that state. I had never been to Utah until my parents got divorced and he moved out, et cetera, et cetera. And we would visit him about twice a year. And the parks in Utah, Zion, Bryce, Arches, et cetera. So this whole board is just what I call my hiking vision board, because I would love it if once a year I could get out there and do a national park. But I even have like a picture of a log cabin. This is actually a picture of me when I was 26 years old. I had backpacked with a boyfriend into the back canyons with nothing but what we had on our back. And we went out there for like 2 weeks. It was one of the scariest yet most wonderful vacations of my life. And I think I just went down a rabbit hole. I forget what I was talking about. But anyways, so, professional board, personal board, maybe a separate board, individual board, however you like. Okay. Questions? Are you all going to be quiet? You can unmute
also unmute yourselves.
Yes.
You don't have to wait for us.
So down in the lower left-hand corner, there's your mute button, and it has a slash going through it. If you click on it, you will unmute yourself.
I see Jean. Do you want to speak, Jean? I'm going to unhighlight Jean Marie here.
Can I go or?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh.
Go, Sal.
So I'm just so grateful for you doing this today, because this is so important. Because what I realized, and this is just from you helping me and all the stuff we worked, but the vision board is so important in my mind, because when I look at mine, it moves me to tears, because it is all about the purpose and future of what I see from my life that isn't happening. And what I know is that you're helping us to line up our head and our heart, because when you line up your head and your heart, it will move you to not just action, but inspired action, and every day. And then you can look and see that your schedule's freedom and all those great things that you have shown us over the time. So I'm just really grateful, because I stare at mine. It's over my head, Huntington Beach, California. And, as you shared yours, it's just that I'm going to have a condo one day that has that view, but it's not for me. It's for 3 generations from now, to see them be able to make decisions that aren't based on money or financial need, but on what they can do to empower the world. And they'll look back on grandpa and great grandpa and say, hey, in 2020, you were working every day so that this could happen for all of us. And that's just, thank you so much for putting this. I'm still tweaking mine right now. I got a little green lady with a green sweatshirt that's on a little part of mine. It's so special, from a picture that she sent to us. So thank you.
Thanks, Sal. Thank you. All right. Anybody else want to say anything? Jean? Or you have your hand up?
Yep. I was definitely in the vision board mindset now a bunch of years ago, and my daughters and I would do it every New Year's Eve, because the 3 of us were home, and that's what we did. And the two of them both achieved everything that they've put on, whether it was travel, high grades, certain schools, and they're off and running. And then I find myself kind of lagging behind, because I was feeling kind of an unnecessary pressure when I would create a vision board, and I'd look at the vision board and I'd be like, oh my God, I haven't done that yet. And, you know, just like this unnecessary weight. Until I learned for myself that I do it incrementally. Like, so if I kind of tap into how I want to feel. And so I keep, you know, leveling up now, you know, if I just want to feel more social, I guess what I'm trying to say is I keep the goals manageable instead of putting a 7-bedroom house overlooking a cliff somewhere. I put, you know, a really nice living room or something. So I don't know if that all made sense, but they are powerful and they do work. For me, I just needed to dial it down a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So you made a great point. You know, like the expert that I read earlier out of Jack Canfield's book, you know, I mean, the gentleman was living in, you know, I don't know, 10,000 square foot home. And that's not really the kind of stuff I put. I mean, you can put whatever you want on your vision board, but I understand, you know, then we feel the pressure to get it done. And then, you know, how do we get it done? So again, it comes down to, you know, you being you and being your individual goals, aspirations. And it does, you know, I did show you my goals, but it doesn't necessarily have to be goals. That was something I wanted to put on it. And do I put extra pressure on myself by putting my goals up there? Sure. But
can I add to that, Jean Marie? If
Sure.
we all go through life the same, you know, Monday through Friday, the same routines, the grocery shopping, the cleaning, the kids, the school, the work, whatever. And if we don't sit back and go, gosh, I would like to do this or have this or be this or want this, we don't even, I'm reevaluating what are my goals. If you can't even articulate, this helps you to articulate them and put them down so you like have something to work for. My husband's turning 55 this year, and I said, wow, 55, that's 10 years to 65. What do you want 65 to look like? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know what I want it to look like. So I'm like, wow, we have to figure this out.
so you could have your own vision board, and then you could have a marriage vision board.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, I mean, the first thing I showed you was, you know, the, I guess the marriage vision board. But we all have to, you know, tweak as we go along. Thank you for sharing that, Deb. Anybody else want to share?
Jean Marie, I was going to say, I think it's a good balance, like what Jean said, is that you do want to have some very specifics, but you also want to have something very general, because what you think you want, maybe the universe, okay, is going to say, well, you're right. Maybe that house would not be by the beach. Maybe the best thing for you would be by the lake, and you still have your water element. So the general is very nice as well as the specific. And if you can find balance in that, because sometimes when you mandate all those goals, you start feeling terrible about yourself. Oh, I didn't do this, and it's June, and then, you know, like it's, you know, you don't want to do that. You want to make it where it's encouraging, inspiring, and again, specific in some way that you want to attain something or get something done, but not necessarily, you know, everything has to be, you know, regimented, because that's not really what the universe wants. They want to open it up and give you things that are for your best interest. So another woo-woo, sorry. Yeah, but.
No, that's okay. So I didn't go into a lot of the science. A lot of the science, if you will, is in the blogs, that I sent you in the chat room. But I liked this one paragraph in the first blog, which says, visualizing success in the form of goals or optimum performance has been used by phenomenally successful athletes and entrepreneurs alike. It would be hard to argue that it didn't work out well for them. And studies have been done which give a scientific basis to the practice. So a lot of the scientific information, you know, is in the blog posts. But I think what has happened, at least for me, or what I'm seeing, because I have my hand in the professional world and the personal world, especially as I continue on with things like Chamber of Commerce meetings, etc., is most people now have an opportunity for what I call a reset button So people tend, if they choose to, they have some extra time on their hands. Maybe you don't if you're, you know, in healthcare or IT or education. Those folks, I feel so sorry for them. They're like crazy, crazy busy. But there's many of us who now have an opportunity to say, what do I want to do today? You know, or a couple extra hours on the weekend. So this is a great time to sit back and say, what's going to go on my board? How do I want to revamp my goals? And those of you who, and everybody on this call knows me really, really well, one of the things I always say, you know, to my clients or my children when they tell me they have to do something is, if not now, when? So if you're going to make your 2020 goals, you can say to yourself, okay, if not now, when? Well, some of them, for example, you know, meditate daily is pretty easy. That becomes a daily thing. But what about, you know, reinvent POSSE and break 6 figures? Well, how do I break that down? And that's why, you know, my second favorite tool is a planner of some kind. It's now, how do you take that goal and break it down into steps that you can handle on a daily basis? And then that'll eventually lead to productivity. But this is really the humongous big picture before the productivity, because none of our goals matter if we don't know what we want. You know, we have to kind of figure it out. And we change. And I think what has happened to many of us right now is we don't really know what our lives may be looking like, just because there's so many things out of our control. So my thinking is, you know, kind of go with the serenity prayer and figure out what can you be in control of, and designing a tool like this is definitely something we can all do and look at. This will go back and sit at my desk, you know, to the right of my computer. Some people love to put these on the refrigerator, or in, like, for example, at the back of your closet door. So if you go into your closet to get dressed every day and you have this somewhere where you see it all the time, you can't help. These visuals will start to, you know, they'll be ingrained in your head. There are pictures that I see in my head all the time that I had on vision boards for years, you know, and some of them have come true and some of them I'm sure will be coming true. So let me just share my screen with you one more time, because we're getting close to the end and I want to honor your time. So I'm going to go down to, and if anybody, I think Deb put this in the chat box, but if you wanted to email me and you want this document, you're more than welcome to have it. We did the Ask the Organizer section, and I'll go back to that in a minute if anybody wants to stay on afterwards for a few minutes. But I want to tell you about the next pen. So I've decided to do these the third Wednesday of each month at 11 a.m. And the second asked for topic from last month was on tickler systems. So my next topic is Laugh Your Way to Productivity with a Tickler System, and it'll be Wednesday, June 7th at 11 a.m. And the way to get on these calls would be, you can always go to my website on my presentations page, and that would be beginning tomorrow, because today is still up there in case somebody wanted to join us last minute. I do a monthly e-zine through MailChimp. If you're not on the monthly e-zine, you can just go to my homepage and register, but if you get that, that'll always include the link. I send this out now once a month from my database, so you get a personal email, and then I always have it on social media. So that is going to be next month, if you'd like to do that. Oh, and I already have the topic for the following month, which is going to be July 15th, and I'm doing Boost Your Inbox Immunity, and it's going to be all on decluttering your email box. And my colleague, Betsy Coyne of PC Mac Technology, will be joining me so she can get specific with your questions relative to, you know, what kind of, you know, technology you use. So I'll cover it from the broad spectrum, and she will cover it from your specific technology questions. So those are the next 2 pens. And
You say June 7th, but it is June 17th, the third
did
one.
it say June 7th?
Yeah, but it is 17th. It's set on the screen, so.
Okay, so classes need to make the number 1 list on my monthly calendar. Okay, so I have 11:59. Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to my guest, Karen. Thank you to Deborah for helping me. I'll stay on for just another couple minutes if anybody wants to say hi or you have any last minute questions. Otherwise, continue to have a fantastic day and go make your vision boards.
Thank you, Jean Marie. I'm back to Serpro. Love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Karen. Thank you.
Thanks, Jean Marie.
Oh,
This has been so good because I know you gave me the planner, and look, I found it in my 2-bedroom condo after 3 weeks. Looking for it. So as you could tell, I'm like Karen, not really good. I make the list. I can't find it. This is like the perfect thing for me. And it's always been so scary. Even when you go to do your kitchen or something, right? Don't they say to you, do you have a vision board? The hell is that? I'm like, yeah, what do you like? I don't know, so I do need some structure. And I think this is something that I'm going to work on today.
Excellent, excellent. So that's a picture of me up there, but that's actually Deb. Don't worry about it. I'm still here. I am still here. So,
Okay.
But going back to Diane about where to keep your planner, can you give it one specific home? Like, can you say, for example, you probably know where your keys are. Do you know where your keys are?
Yes.
Okay. So your keys probably have a home, right?
Yes.
Okay. So dedicate one particular place for your planner to always live.
Okay. I'll try that.
Okay, try that. Okay.
I'll check in next month. Let you know.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right,
Thank
and you bet, you bet.
Could
Shelley?
Yes. Okay. Hi. Okay. The vision board. Is that, the first example you gave was a 10-year vision board. You looked every 10 years. Now, are you suggesting long-term or short-term?
Okay,
A year
Awesome.
or 10 years?
awesome question. So I just want to clarify. The first thing I showed you was a list. We had written this list in 2000, and I just put it up on the wall and forgot about it. I mean, it was just something I did shortly after we were married. Then we looked at it at our 10th wedding anniversary, and we went, oh my goodness, we've gotten half those things on that list done. And then it went back up on the wall, and then we took it down for our 20th anniversary. And we went, oh my gosh, almost the whole list is done. So it actually wasn't intentionally written for 10 years or 20 years out. So you can figure out, in terms of your vision board, how long do you think you want it to be? I would say don't even put a time date on it. I would say just put whatever you want. And don't even worry about, is that my 5-year plan? Is that my 10-year plan? But if you do want specific things within 1 year, 5-year, 10-year, then that would be maybe more like a goal sheet. What do I want to accomplish this year? What do I want in 5 years? What do I want in 10 years? So I think you can play it however you want. But I think of my vision board as the now and the future. So I guess that's a great question. Like, I'm not even sure how to answer that. It just kind of is what it is.
Okay.
Maybe you can have 3 boards, one for the first year, one for the 5-year plan, and one for the 10-year plan.
Okay. Second question, and one more after that. You mentioned Jack Canfield and Kathy Sexton. Are they authors also? Do they write books on organizing? Who are they?
So Kathy Sexton is a productivity expert. So I had suggested, she writes a lot of excellent productivity blogs. So a professional organizer is similar to a productivity expert. The difference is usually people think of as an organizer as working in the home, as residential organizing, and they think of a productivity expert as somebody who really helps with time management and office efficiencies in the business world. The two are really the same, they just work in different environments. But she has her website is full of wonderful, wonderful productivity information, and that's why I picked this particular blog. So you could Google her, and you're gonna see lots of written information. Jack Canfield is an author, pretty famous. he goes back a long way. He and his co-author, Mark Hansen, did all the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. So he's written many books, but he's written books outside of Chicken Soup for the Soul, and the book, The Success Principles, is one of my favorites. And in here, you know, there's a chapter on vision boards, there's a chapter on masterminds. I think he's got like, I forget how many principles. I would say hundreds. And every one of them is fantastic. So I think the book is like 400 pages. Yeah, the book's over 400 pages.
What is that book again?
It's called The Success Principles. It's actually pretty old, by Jack Canfield.
Okay.
Yeah, so he interviewed like hundreds of successful people around the world in order to write this book. And he was looking for a theme, like what is it that makes a person successful? Because everybody's idea of who is successful or what is successful or even how you interpret your own fulfillment. So he interviewed all these people, and basically the interviews narrowed down to a couple dozen principles, and he wrote about each one in depth. I tell you to go to the library, Shelley, but the library's not open.
Okay, last thing. Did you say you're going to send us a reminder for the meeting on June 17th with the site?
So there's
how do
3
you get-
places where you can register for the next meeting. There's going to be an email from me, probably next week. There's going to, did you get my monthly newsletter?
Yes.
Yes,
I got
okay.
one.
The monthly newsletter will have the link to register. What was the third one, Deb? It was
On
MailChimp
Facebook,
newsletter.
and they can always go to your speaking tab on the
Oh, yeah.
website.
Yes, so on my website, which is POSSEPartnersLLC.com, I have a speaking tab, and it's always on there. You're frozen, Shelley.
Okay,
Shelley's
so, but
frozen.
you're going to
Here we go.
send an email. You'll send an email though.
Yes, and you know what I will
Okay.
do? I will put a note in my planner that if I do not see your registration by a certain date, I will call you.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Very
Okay,
welcome.
Bye-bye. Have a
Okay.
good couple of weeks.
Thank you, Shelley. Okay, take care. All right, anybody else?
Good stuff.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you
Have
all.
a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.